When community comes together, amazing things can happen. But even people I know coming together just to share the marketing piece of it, or who showed up for the ribbon cutting, who you surround yourself with, they may not be in the profession, but they're really going to shout from the rooftops what you're doing.
From cornfields to high rises, office to industrial, houses to hotels, and every other asset class in real estate, we cover the people, the projects, and the profit. Welcome to the Investing in Iowa show. This show is for go-doers, action takers, and business owners. It's for people like you who are sick of Uncle Sam taking a huge bite of your apple. If you're looking to get ahead of what's taking place in Iowa, learn who is doing what, and how you can get in on the action, you're in the right place. Hosted by Neil Timmins, an Iowa native who has been involved in over $300 million in real estate right here in Iowa. Recording in studio from West Des Moines. Here's your host, Neil Timmins.
I've got Tina Smothers here on the show. Tina, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
I'm excited you're here. Say for the audience to say, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah, well, my name's Tina Smothers, and I'm actually a real estate investor, property manager. I do some consulting in the real estate side of things. So Integrated Asset Management is a management company I have. We do Des Moines Metro management of residential units. I've also done some redevelopment with a couple projects in the area, some of which are, we'll call high profile. Yep. I'm sure we'll talk about those.
Yep.
And then also recently spun off and started Advisory Solutions, which is my consulting firm, just to add some strategy advisor and some different fractional leadership if anybody in the real estate field is needing some temporary services.
When you say management, what do you mean by management?
The management company would be management of our either self-owned deals, which I have some, or third-party management. So I've got owners from all over the United States that we manage for, and we full service. So we'll do the leasing, the accounting, the tenant relations, everything A to Z for a fee.
We talking about apartments only?
We do residential and commercial.
Okay.
Yep.
Talk to me about that side of the business and maybe what that looks like for you guys. How many units and where is it primarily made up of in terms of asset types?
So we right now manage 1,300 units in the Des Moines metro area, and we've got about 6,000 square foot of commercial space that we have. The multifamily units that we manage, it's really diverse. So we've got rents that start at $600 a month that go all the way to $1,500 a month with the assets that we have in Des Moines, Waukee, Clive, all over. And mainly what we have in our portfolio is going to be primarily studio 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm curious, you've got a wide range of rents, $600 to $1,500. Is the management more intensive at one end of the spectrum versus the other?
Oh, it's not.
No.
I've had a lot of people ask me
I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've had a lot of people ask me that throughout the years because I've done a lot of value add in the Des Moines metro area. I've been in real estate 27 years in Des Moines doing leasing and up from there. And I would say it's not. It really isn't. There's going to be a tenant demand. Again, whether they make this much or this much, pay this much or that. And we always try to stick to some of the, what you would think are standard principles, keep the product nice, clean is free, and really take pride in the communities no matter what type of asset class it is.
Do you have any Section 8 you guys manage?
We do not. That is not a property that's primarily Section 8. It may have a few residents that are on Section 8.
Sure.
But that would be maybe 10 to 15 of the 1,300 units.
Yeah. Insignificant. What has been the key to success, or what are the keys to success in property management as it relates specifically to apartments?
Gosh, such a broad question. Yeah. But I think there's a couple things that we always just pinpoint. People, obviously, having the right people in place are going to be what is going to take you to that next level. Commitment, whether it's loyalty, people who want to share in what you're building in your management company, what the properties are. I always share with all of our team members what the owner's vision is, what they see the property offering to the community. And so I think people is always number one, but it's hard too, because sometimes, which is a benefit of a third party management company, if you don't have enough units, to have that person that's focused on it. But it is hard unless you have 7,500 units or more. maybe that 5,000 range where you can really put all the people that you need into place to cover all the different sectors, whether it's training, marketing, your CEO position and CFO. So it's hard when you're in that number, but I think that I've learned through the years to really do it well. I'm hands-on in the company. And so having been a leasing agent and manager for years, I have that boots on the ground experience. And so it really does go, I think, back to who I have around me and all of us working together.
What I hear you saying is the most challenging part of the business is the people.
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't that be true?
And you caught me on a week where it's really been a trying week. Yes. And it's on the resident parts too. I think that this probably comes up in most conversations like we're having, but just after COVID, I mean, things started to change. People are working from home, for instance. So in the apartment industry, it means you have more work orders probably because more people are home. Things are going to go bad quicker or plumbing backups, just different things like that. So it's increased the maintenance part of it and your customer service experience, whether you have people there or not. We've really learned to adapt the AI part of things, which is always in another conversation.
Yeah.
Most conversations as well with COVID now. But yeah, people, I think, is the key. And then figuring out how do you manage your residential units with having the right number of people for the right number of units that you're managing.
Right.
And a lot of that's going to be geographically. Are they close? How many do you have in one spot? So.
All right. You mentioned AI. We're not going to go very deep, but give me one example, one usage how you guys use AI in what you do.
Gosh, that's one example. So I would say the biggest thing is the property management software that we use has greatly adapted it. So they've now got that intertwined in their software. So it makes it easy to write marketing descriptions or templates for texting our residents or coming up with the resident letters. So, I mean, that right there just saves so much time. I can do it from my phone and notice out to a 100-unit property in 10 seconds.
Yeah. Before we get into the ownership side in your world, take me to the very beginning. How did you even get into this industry?
So I'm from small town Iowa, Northwest Iowa. I graduated from Ida Grove and have family that lived in Des Moines. And I originally started college in Sioux City at Morningside, and it just wasn't a fit for me. I at least had family in Des Moines. And so AIB is a quarter college. Yeah. So I was able to drop classes there and move, I graduated early. Let me start there from high school. So it was April, I enrolled in 1997 at AIB, and I went to the guidance counselor's office there to try to find a job. And there was one for a leasing agent actually down the street on Park Avenue. Yeah. And I walked into the office and my life changed significantly from that day forward. I feel very fortunate. I met a great person who took me under her wing and mentored me for years and really showed me the boots on the ground approach that I feel like you need for the success in property management.
Yes.
And that was, so 27 years ago. And I love the industry. I love the challenge. I love to be busy. I don't even know what it's like to clock in at a certain time and clock out. And just to have seen the business evolve through the years and how much we've grown from 3 carbon copy work orders to now all paperless, and just so many different aspects of it, I guess, that have changed that we've really been able to show efficiencies with that.
At some point, your world morphed out of management and into ownership. What was the very first one you were involved in?
So that would have been 7 years ago. And I had decided that I wanted to be an investor and start my own management company. And really, as the cards lie, just everything worked out. It was kind of a crazy story in itself, but that would have been 7 years ago. We closed on Urban Green Apartments, which is 97 units with my partner that I have on some other assets here in Des Moines. But yeah, it was a great acquisition that we've had. It's a long-term hold for us. I think it was originally, we bought it from the people who built it. So it's a great asset.
Yeah. As a result of sitting in that owner's seat, what have you learned, and maybe how have you changed your management now that you get to sit in both seats so often?
That's a tough one. It's tough because so many times I relate, what would I have done if I was on site?
Right.
Or I'm trying to show empathy towards a decision that somebody's made that wasn't probably the best decision. it's a lot different thinking of your pro forma and how you're really managing that asset class, like if it is a long-term hold or short-term hold. And so I think it's really from the owner to being on site, managing obviously the income and expenses, which is probably an obvious answer. But as an owner, I want to check into everything. Like that shouldn't cost that much. This should be this, that should be that. But you also have to go back to, we're talking about people and trust your people. What is the best use of time?
Right.
Is it doing ABC or is it completing this task? I think that's probably my biggest thing is just how do you manage that? But I will say wholeheartedly, I manage my assets the exact same as I manage third-party assets as well. It's really important. I think, though, it's really important for if you are a third-party management company or you work for a party or a property management company that is managing assets for others, just to understand their goal. As a regional manager or a manager, you probably aren't going to disclose to them, this is the distributions we want out of the property.
Right.
But the more that you could be transparent with that so they understand that, I think it helps everybody to see the end goal clearer and why you're raising your rents or why you decided that you're not going to do XYZ anymore to save $2,400 a year. I go through the exercise a lot. If our income raises this much at this cap rate, this is the value of the property, just to help them to understand that. And through the years, I didn't have a lot of people that would do that with me. And so I think just really understanding that piece of it will help the asset and your on-site team even more.
Hey, Iowa investors, this is Ava Baukamp, Chief of Staff at Legacy Impact Investors. Have you thought about adding real estate to your portfolio but don't have the time or desire to play landlord? At Legacy Impact Investors, we do the heavy lifting. Our team finds the deals, manages the properties, and handles all the day-to-day operations. Our select group of qualified investors co-invest with us, gaining ownership equity without opening a tenant email or responding to a maintenance call. They just share in the income, appreciation, and tax benefits. These opportunities aren't for everyone. They are for qualified, accredited investors only. If you want to learn more, please visit legacyimpactinvestors.com to apply.
You've done some high-profile projects, and the one that comes to mind for me is this Sterling Hotel situated in Clive. You took a hotel and turned it into an apartment.
Yes.
Talk to me about that project, because from the outside looking in, it sounds like a daunting task.
It was an amazing project. It's 112 units, if you will. It was a Marriott back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's got studios, which is unique to that market. It's in Clive.
Yes.
And it's got what we call a 2-bedroom loft and separate buildings. So it's on a bigger set of land, if you will, than most of our assets that we have. The beautiful part about that rehab and that redevelopment compared to like the AIB project was that, well, both we took over 100% empty. But with the Clive project, the Sterling Hotel, which is now the Vibe at 8035, they're all exterior entrances. So we were able to go in and rehab them without disturbing other people, meaning AIB was all one floor. So it just makes a difference when you've got that sort of thing going on. We were able to fill it up because you've got different entries, exterior entrances in that project. And so we actually had we closed in end of February of 2022. We had to empty out all of the rooms as well. That was a daunting task. That was very daunting.
By that, you mean the physical emptying out because there's furniture?
Yes, because they were fully furnished, ditches and everything. And so the feel-good story that comes from that is it was all donated to nonprofits. We worked with Daniel Lopez Ministries, who helped us coordinate that. We were able to ship 40 mattresses to a nonprofit in Africa. Just everybody, the community really came together for those nonprofits to make sure that nothing was thrown away, that could be recycled and reused. And so that was great. But that was probably one of the hardest pieces of the project is you can't go until you have all of that gone. Right. And as you're throwing into roll-offs, that becomes really, really tough on the budget as well. So, yeah. So we closed on that again, the end of February, and we were 95% leased by that October. Wow. So we really booked on getting the rehab done on that. And by about mid-July, I believe we had everything pretty much wrapped up as far as our capital side of getting everything remodeled and then all of the amenity upgrades that we did.
What'd you learn going through that project?
Wow. On that one, I would say I learned that when community comes together, amazing things can happen.
Yeah.
So it just, again, donating things, but just even people I know coming together just to share the marketing piece of it, or to who showed up for the ribbon cutting. And so again, who you surround yourself with, they may not be in the profession, but they're really going to shout from the rooftops what you're doing. And so it was a great project for that reason. What I learned, probably more what you're asking on the other side of it, is it's difficult, again, especially after COVID. I see it a lot more, just finding the vendors to do the work. Product prices have went up considerably.
Right.
Just things you wouldn't even think of, the glue for your flooring that now has to be manufactured. And so it's that we try to stay local and use locally owned companies and businesses. But just like I was explaining with the management company, it's hard when you've got the smaller numbers. So love to use companies that have it's an owner and a couple other people on the team, but then you're also piecing that together to ensure that everything's getting done.
Right.
You're bringing in more vendors because of that. You can't have one painter. You're going to have a couple different crews.
Right.
Probably important to what we're talking about today is we do all the project management ourselves. My partner is the project manager on when we do the rehab. And so we don't, typical of some other investors or redevelopment, they'll have a company that is doing all that for them. And so we do all of that in-house ourselves.
Why?
I mean, money. It's a big expense, obviously, but I also think throughout the years, I mean, I've been a part of millions and millions of dollars of rehab in our value add properties, not only here in Iowa, but many other states as well, and have seen that from the construction side of things. So I think just with our experience together and how we're able to work together, it really does work for us. And so it's been great. We're on our third redevelopment project together now. Yeah. And that was AIB closed in 2019, that project did. So it's been 5 years and 3 deals. We're pretty proud of that.
How big was the AIB one?
AIB was, it's 93 1 and 2 bedrooms that we have now from the dorms that are on Bell, or the dorms that were on Bell Avenue. With that, though, we bought the campus and had to sold the parcels. And so a little bit different angle to that. I think it really was the vision that helped us. Yeah. The vision was clear on what we wanted to do with that project. Yeah. And so, again, long-term hold for us. And it was all vacant, had to empty out all the furniture. So learned some stuff on how to do that better, obviously. And yeah, so it just a great project there as well that we love. That, and that's the Village at Grays Lake.
Bring me current. The third project's coming up.
So the third project is the Clive Hotel, which we closed on the last week of December 2023. Mm-hmm. That is studio, 1 bedroom, and then a couple 2 bedrooms, 119 units on that. We renamed it the McCoy at 8035. So we could brand it kind of the same as the Vibe at the 8035 that's right down the street. Yeah. So yeah, working on that. This project, a little bit different than the other two because we are having to do more of the construction with jackhammering, running different plumbing and things like that. So it's obviously patience is a virtue, right? So I want the deal done because I want to get it leased, but there's also a lot of different pieces that we have to it that we didn't have to do before.
Sure. Are you learning anything new so far?
Again, it just goes back to probably the vendor side of it. We really need to find the people that can handle the work, like the companies, but we're also looking to stay local and we're managing it on our own and things like that. Yeah. So I think what we're learning is it's harder. There's more work out there. So I totally get it. I'm a business owner and you have to go where the work is, and it's in small companies. They're getting pulled all different ways too, trying to keep everybody happy because we have built that community and those relationships, and there's give to it. So back to the people, do you add more people to your team that you're managing? And then the work's not done your way. Keep it how you have, and just trying to be very transparent with everybody on that. How can we help each other and provide to them and so forth? So
what's the time frame to deliver that?
So we have, I think we've got 10% of them ready and leased. So It's ongoing.
Yeah.
And that one is one building. So again, it's a little bit more tricky than the Vibe because we're trying to get the floor done. But yeah, we're renting them as we turn them over. So that's kind of our plan. And by, I think 12 months is realistic for that many units and the scope of what we have going on there.
If you're a house flipper, execute the burst strategy or do double closings and are in need of money, Little Guy Loans is your go-to lender here in the Des Moines area. Time is money. Loan approvals in 24 hours. Closings in 5 days. Little Guy Loans was founded by Neil Timmins, an investor just like you. Since he has been in over 10,000 homes in Des Moines, there's never an appraisal. Houses, multifamily, and commercial property loans up to $1 million. Check out www.littleguyloans.com.
I'm curious on the financing side, when you put one in place like that, is it standard construction loan and then you're roll into a perm once you hit a certain lease rate?
To my understanding, yes. Yeah. That's not my really area of expertise. Yeah. That's more my partner. But yes, we are doing the construction loan on it. Yeah.
Why Iowa? What keeps you here? Why do you invest here?
I'm a native of Iowa. So like I was saying, everything really fell into place for me from my leasing. Throughout my career, I worked for local companies, national companies. I was fortunate with my skill set. I was able to travel to other markets and really learn what they're doing there. And I was just home. Yeah. And I think that's why I do what I do with the management. I think it's important. Everybody has a place to call home and you don't have to be a homeowner. That's the other part of it. And so Iowa, we call home and always, always will.
I'm curious, what did it feel like from going full circle, if you will, from going to school at AIB to eventually coming back and purchasing?
Yeah, it's one of those, like, this is just such a crazy thing. And I think as I tell stories of my 27-year career in property management and the projects we have, there's a link somehow, some way to something or to somebody who passed through my life at that time. Yeah. And it's really cool to see all that come together. And I think it goes back to your question on why I invest in Iowa. And I think it's the community part of it, because I wouldn't have those stories otherwise to kind of put that together. So the AIB deal was awesome. I mean, the state had it and we were awarded the contract and off we went. And thankfully everything fell into line like it should have.
Tina, ready for the final 3 questions?
Okay, hit me.
If you had one piece of advice for your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Probably not to try to conquer it all at once. I'm really so happy that I did it the way I did it. But I look at a lot of individuals in their 20s now, and I think just slow down, enjoy life, whether you're married or have kids, especially if you're not. Like, I was just working 60 hours a week just because that was it. And I had my daughter when I was 23 and I have sons who are 6 and 9. And I look back, the time goes so fast. So just work through it, give it time and allow yourself to achieve different levels of success and be okay with that.
2 books that changed your life.
The absolutely hands down would be Simon Sinek, Start With Why. I was very fortunate to see him speak in 2016. And I think that really was a lot that pushed me in the direction of going on my own, starting my own business, becoming a broker, investing in property management. And I don't know on the other one, I guess. That always just comes to mind because it was life-changing for me, honestly.
If you were cast away on an island for 1 year, you could only get 3 pieces of data each month from your business. What 3 things must you know each and every month to know how your business is running?
That would be definitely the occupancy of the vacants, how many are made ready, and their cash flow each month, because the rest I could do in my head and assume what's going on. Yeah. I can read it pretty good.
Tina, I've asked lots of questions. What's one question I did not ask that I should have asked?
Oh my gosh, that's I don't know on that. I feel like we've covered a lot. Yeah. I think that for me, I'm excited and I'm very curious to see what the next couple of years are going to hold for all the markets, but especially here in Iowa around that 2019, 2020 timeframe. We had a lot of 4 or 5 year the loans.
A lot of arms ridden and a lot of balloons coming due.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so just curious and hopeful that everybody comes through that and what assets will change hands, I guess, in the market. So
For people who want to find you, they want to follow you, they want to connect with you, where can they go? What should they do?
Yeah, on LinkedIn, it's just Tina Smothers. And then I also advisory-solutions.com is my consulting that kind of brings in the points of the management that we talked about, the assets that we bought. If anybody wants more information on that, I have a lot of people reach out and say, can I pick your brain? I'm always happy to. It's just sometimes what worked for me may not work for others. And so I always want to be very, very conscious of that when talking about like the hotel conversion deals and some different things. Because as we all know, there's so many variables in it.
Correct.
So,
yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here, Tina. It's been a wonderful conversation. Links are below in the show notes for everybody. Tina, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the show, may I ask a favor of you? Naturally, subscribe so you never miss an episode. But would you rate and leave an honest written review on Apple Podcasts? It does a lot for us here at the show, and I appreciate reading your thoughts. Great guests make for a great show. If you know of another Iowan who would be a great guest, or you yourself have interest in being a guest, well, get on our radar. Visit Investing in Iowa to fill out an application or recommend a guest. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one, go to legacyimpactinvestors.com. Click on the Invest With Us button in the top right corner, and there you can pick a time for the two of us to get on the calendar and connect. Until next time, keep investing in Iowa.